The demographic shifts taking place across our world have been organized and instituted by Western governments. Why do these governments hate their own people? What will happen to the soon-to-be ethnic minorities? And what will happen to the civilizations they created and led?
Whiteness is to abolish white people.
White people are committed to being villains in the aggregate, right? We gotta take these motherfuckers out.
We have to kill white people.
When do we start killing white people?
I don't want to say we need to go start killing all white folks, but it's like, but maybe.
When we say we want to kill whitey, we don't really mean we want to kill whitey, we do.
We have to exterminate white people off of the face of the planet to solve this problem.
Fuck white people!
No white people anymore, and only cappuccino-colored people.
Look, that's the only way. This is the only solution. It's my way of thinking. It's our only hope. Is our way out of this.
Yes.
It's going to take some time, but it's really the only way. This sort of Singaporean model where everybody's so mixed up that you really don't know who to hate because everybody's so hopelessly intertwined, but we're a long way from that.
It's a kind of utopia, just the fact that the whole world will mix up with each other, that in, 70, 80 years, there will be no white people anymore, and only cappuccino-colored people.
Look, that's the only way. This is the only solution. It's my way of thinking.
Mix up,
it's our only hope. Is our way out of this.
Yes.
It's going to take some time, but it's really the only way. This sort of Singaporean model where everybody's so mixed up that you really don't know who to hate because everybody's so hopelessly intertwined.
Everyone is dehumanized off rip within white supremacy, that y'all are born into a life to not be human, and that's what y'all are taught to do, to be demons.
Professor of Politics tweeted, "All I want for Christmas is white genocide."
Whiteness is an ideology, it's a culture, it's a value system. And what we need to do is we need to eliminate that value system.
Do you think this is a good thing? Do we need to diversify the countryside?
I think absolutely. It's been white for far too long.
In the United Kingdom, where already a whopping 40% of people under 18 descend from non-European backgrounds, their total population will see white Britons reduced to an absolute minority.
Since the founding of our nation in 1776, our population share has remained steady. We maintained an absolute majority all the way leading up to the year 1950. And from then on, our population share has precipitously fallen until we reach our current time period of 2026. And we find ourselves at a crossroads. Demographers now project our population share will further decrease until we are a minority. In 1900, white European people comprised 36% of the world. By 2025, we comprise 9% of the world. What happens when we are a minority ruled over by a non-white majority? I think a good example illustrative of this is the example of South Africa and Zimbabwe.
Eventually, following international pressure and the fear of a race-based civil war, the National Party released Mandela and entered into negotiations with the African National Congress, formally ending apartheid in 1991. 3 years later, Mandela led the party to victory in South Africa's first multiracial election, emphasizing racial reconciliation.
There were running battles in the city's Unit 9 last night between police and protesters. All roads leading in and out of the city have been closed due to violent protests. Shops have been looted and roads have been closed.
Brutality of the farm murders in South Africa is undescribable. We found pieces of nails being pulled out. We found hands being removed from bodies. We found people raped, murdered, brutally murdered babies, children, the farmers trying to protect their families. In Johannesburg, just outside Johannesburg, we had a farm murder where 5 people came in. It was arranged by their domestic worker, and they drowned the 12-year-old boy in boiling hot water.
My dad opened the door and he shot my dad in the stomach. My dad managed to get to the phone to phone my aunt. And then he phoned the neighbour and said, "Listen, I've been shot." And the neighbour could hear the rest of the gunshots. And then the phone went dead. All the time my dad's being shot. Back, arms, legs. And my dad slumped forward over this chair, and he was shot in the back of the head here. Just execution style. He got 15 years. 15 years. So, you know, if with these 15 years, he can sit for six years and he'll come back.
Yes, my mother-in-law was murdered here in 2008. Strangle her and with a belt of her, a belt around her neck, and they take out her eyes with a fork.
Over the past few years, the South African government has used its Black economic empowerment policy to coerce utility companies into depleting the number of white workers to reflect the racial makeup of the country. In reality, this means that companies with government contracts must shoot for a goal of a workforce with no more than 8% white workers. Since these mass layoffs, filling engineering and other high-skilled positions has been difficult, only worsening the water crisis and causing serious ramifications for the country's white farming minority.
My farm used to be a green oasis. It used to be a healthy, perfect farm. Now it has all turned to dust, to barren wasteland, with piles of bones from the sheep I once had, who died of thirst. I could no longer afford to maintain my old home, so it fell into disrepair, and we now live in a much smaller shack down the road. There is nothing left of that house. The floors have rotted, the walls are breaking. The place my children were born, the place my wife and I built from scratch and used to love, it is now just rubble. This is happening to everyone, everywhere here. You drive up and down these lands and all you can see is dilapidated farms. There are extremely difficult times laying ahead for us. It's hard, working here every day, knowing they are going to chase you out in 6 months. The government even said openly they are going to take our land.
Only days after leaving South Africa, I saw Louis' fears vindicated in Parliament. The ANC announced they would absolutely be taking white land by force, expropriation without compensation. The EFF, which holds 10% of the vote, are notorious for singing an anti-apartheid song at their rallies, calling for the deaths of white farmers.
We recently had a protest in South Africa against farm murders. The protest was called Black Monday. And afterwards, our Minister of Defence said that if whites stage another such protest, they will bring a civil war upon themselves. They will provoke a genocide.
Miss Grace, the de facto mother of the camp, told me how one resident was refused treatment at a hospital because of the color of his skin.
Things were very dangerous. The one day, there was black people walking in the street and they shot through our windows. And I went and the police did nothing.
You can't even walk in the streets around. At night, during the day, they always rape you or they beat you up.
While children in the camp were refused places at a local school for the same reason.
Well, our people are at war in farms now.
White people and persons like Breitenbach are land thieves and they have no stake to this society, and the black majority understands that, and we will respond accordingly.
I think black people have been patient enough for more than 400 years of colonialism. And we don't want you to feel pity for us. We are coming for you and we are going to get everything that you own. It's ours.
And what happens to the country itself after this occurs? We have to look no further than the country of Zimbabwe.
Hyperinflation has come down hard on the country. At its peak in 2008, prices doubled every 24 hours. People went to sleep thinking they were middle class, only to find out the next day that they were now poor. Food prices rose so quickly that Zimbabwe, once a regional breadbasket, had to import food from abroad just to feed its population. At the same time, the national debt piled up, and obligations to international creditors restrained how it could spend its budget. Not long after, economic decline set in, productivity dropped, and events like droughts and natural disasters made the situation even worse. Today, Zimbabwe has one of the worst economies in the world. About 1 out of every 3 people lives in extreme poverty. But now, the government is looking to make things right. It's addressing the point where it all went downhill, when it confiscated land from its white farmers and forced them to leave. That decision triggered the country's economic collapse, and since 2017, the government has been negotiating for the return of its white Zimbabwean community.